Good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody. I'm Gunnar Eos, and welcome to another episode of the Logical Gamers Podcast. Tonight, I am joined by Mr. BlankaKong, Mr. Esoteric, and Mr. Hado Wolf. And tonight, we're going to be talking about the thing that has set the internet aflame. A topic that you've probably heard about, even if you have zero interest in the video game. And that topic is, drumroll please, the Stellar Blade controversy and all of the highly intellectual takes that are being dished out by prestigious gaming industry outlets like IGN and Kotaku and guys on Twitter. And gals on Twitter. Let's not discriminate now. So, yeah. If my funny intro wasn't clear enough, we're going to be talking about Stellar Blade. The demo is out as of the recording of this video. It is a PlayStation 5 exclusive for the moment, timed exclusive more than likely. But if you guys at any point are interested in this game, despite whatever we talk about, you guys can check it out now. It is available to play. The save data does carry over to the main game, so there is a little bit of an incentive to care about the demo past its main purpose of being a demo and letting you know what the game's about. So, we're going to talk about the controversies, the hot takes, share our opinions on why people seem to be so upset or so happy about the game. We're also going to talk about, does this, the kind of problem that I personally have with the game of, is the game good? Now, spoiler alert, after playing the demo, I do think the game is fundamentally fun to play, which is, let's not get it twisted. That is the point of a video game, to be fun. So that's my take on it. But, this whole weird kind of right side cringe, I guess I'll say, where a lot of people are buying the game simply because it makes certain people upset. Is that smart? Is that dumb? My opinion, that makes you no better than the people who are complaining about the look of the character. So anyway, we're going to get into all of that. It's going to be a very opinionated, culture-ridden episode. So, if you like that, please stick with us for the entirety of the video and let us know what you think. Do you think we're wrong? Do you think we're right? Do you think we're sexist? Do you think we're based? I'll let you decide. So anyway, quickly before I pass it off to my fellow men in this panel, I played the demo. Like I said, I think it's a serviceable game. It was more in depth than I thought it would be. I was expecting to come into a hack and slash kind of akin to Nier Automata and Devil May Cry, and that's not what you get. What you get is like a weird hybrid between the slow, methodical combat of a Souls game with the high-paced combat of something like Nier and DMC. And somehow they managed to make it work. So if you're going to come into this game thinking you're just going to hack and slash and all that stuff, you're probably going to get your shit rocked more than you should. As far as the titular point of the topic, Eve, the main character of the game. Yes, she's a woman. Last I checked. Yes, she is an attractive woman. Last I checked. No, I do not have a problem with this. I think this whole thing is kind of been blown way out of proportion, with one side saying it's evil and misogynistic and work of the devil, and the other side saying it's great and it's sexy and we need more people like this. I think the two extremes are both cringe, personally. I think people are tired of seeing conventionally unattractive women in video games, especially fantasy-based video games, and I think we've hit a saturation point when it comes to realism in a video game. And people are getting sick and tired of seeing realism in their fantasy games. So I'll expound more on my opinion as we go through the topic, but I have spoken enough. So, gentlemen, what do you think? Has any of you played the demo? Do any of you care about the game? Plan on getting it? Has any of the controversy swayed you one way or the other? Or were you blissfully unaware of it all? Let me hear your thoughts and opinions.
I'll quickly go first, just to provide a little more context. So something we're going to reference, or at least what inspired this particular topic, was a particular controversy with IGN France and them making a statement in one of their preview articles. And I'll just quickly read it, and then we'll talk about not just everything you mentioned, but also this particular situation. This is a quote from a posted article from IGN France, which is no longer available. They did take it down. This is IGN. Quote, it's not new, and other games have chosen to highlight the strengths of their female characters. But where Bayonetta stands out with an iconic character design, or 2B from Nier Automata inspires an entire generation of cosplayers, E from Stellar Blade is just bland, a doll sexualized by someone who has never seen a woman. Now, this is what kind of sparked this whole conversation. IGN, the company, took back what they said and issued an apology to the developer, who posted a picture of his wife working on the game. His wife is a biological woman, a woman who's pretty attractive from what I could see. So he clearly knows what a woman is and what it looks like. So it was just a blatant attack at the developer for no real reason. It's one thing to have a preference as far as like character design is concerned. You can not like a character design if the writer of this particular article believes that Eve from Stellar Blade is a bland looking character. That's justified. That's an opinion. They can have that opinion. I don't agree with it at all. Is she more bland compared to Bayonetta? Probably, but I don't, like, it's not a hill that I'm willing to die on per se. I pre-ordered the game. I'm gonna play it day one. I have the demo downloaded to the system. I plan to play it at some point. Um, and I've been following this game before it even had the name Stella Blade. I've been following it since it was Project Eve, when it was announced like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah,
So like I've been looking at this game
yeah,
ever since then, and not because of the male gaze, but because, well, shit, it looks like a fun game. You're some chick with a fucking sword arm or these weird weapons, and you're cutting up these like alien creatures. Okay, I'm sold. Like, it doesn't take much for me to be interested in something in an action adventure game, especially a hack and slash game. I've been playing them forever. Ninja Gaiden, Devil May Cry, you know, Eve on PS2, Eve of Extinction. Like, there's a bunch of like hack and slash, Chaos Legion. Like, I like hack and slash games. They're fun. Sue me. So yeah, I was gonna buy
yeah.
this one. So yeah, I just wanted to provide that context. I don't recall you going over that particular point. Uh,
I did not,
yeah,
so
so I
thank
just
you for
wanted to
that.
put it out there in the beginning before we kind of go into the rabbit hole of all the political crap behind what this really is all about. Is certain developers and certain people in the journalist side of the gaming industry feel attacked or don't feel represented in certain games, and when they're not represented, they just insult people and call people doo-doo heads online. Like that, like that's effective. It's like, you guys aren't paid to do that. Like, just fucking review the game. That's it. Like, I don't need your fucking worldview. Like, I just shut the fuck up and tell me
Yeah.
if it's a good game or not. Like, I don't care about anything else. But I just want to provide that context. I'll let one of you guys go if you have like just an opinion to share about any of the stuff that me and Gunnar just brought up.
Um, guess I'll go next. Yes, so I did hear about Stellar Blade. We all watched the trailer together when it was Project E, and they didn't really touch much on the gameplay, so I was a little on the fence about whether or not I was going to acquire it. But then there was like a recent trailer that came out, kind of giving further explanation of the game and what it entails, and that's when I started getting a little more intrigued by it, because they gave more that kind of piqued my interest. Um, so I did pre-order the game. I'm my logic or ideology falls in the same vein as Kong, where it's like, I don't care who the avatar is, as long as the game is good, I'm going to play it. It could be a big busty chick, it could be an ugly chick, it could be a big burly dude. It doesn't matter to me as long as the game plays well and it's interesting. Um, I don't understand the whole controversy behind, characters being over sexualized or like being ugly. It's supposed to be a representation of what the creator wants. If he want to make hyper ugly or hypersexualized characters, let he or she do so. A part of a part of gaming, aside from making the game run well and run smooth, a part of that is like pretty much someone exploring their artistic background, and I'm sorry to disappoint a lot of people, but there's not always going to be representation for whatever it is that you're looking for. Like, this is solely based on somebody's point of view and how they want this game to be created or what kind of vision that they have for that game. I am not going to complain if there are no black people in the game. I don't really care. I just want characters who I can pretty much see their story, live through it, and if it's interesting, great. And if the gameplay is, which is pretty much the meat and potatoes of everything, even greater. Like, I personally don't care. I really don't care. And if you guys are complaining so much about, not being represented in these games, then make your own. Build a studio, find, some like-minded individuals who have certain skill sets to make a game, and make your own goddamn game. I just don't understand the quarreling behind people who are utilizing their creativity to create something for others to play and engage in. And they're missing the complete they're missing the complete mission of what a game entails. Y'all so fixated on how sexualized or how good looking this character or not so good looking this character looks like, and y'all not paying attention to whether or not the gameplay is good, whether or not there are glitches within the demo, whether or not there's a variety of different weapons, whether or not the enemies are interesting in terms of like what they can do, and because if I'm not mistaken, the enemies are like somewhat mechanical kind of like creatures. They're kind of like I'm looking
like
for
demons.
They kind of like demons, but they have like some type of cybernetics associated with them to some degree for some of the creatures, and that looks interesting. What, you guys are upset because y'all not being represented as the enemies as well? Like, I'm sorry, but we're biped creatures. We only have 2 legs, 2 hands. How interesting are you going to be in this world that they're creating, right? So I just say that to say, people, when it comes to gaming, a part of the association with gaming is the creator's creative perspective. And I feel like with people just hyper criticizing that creativeness is to the point of like them stifling it. Let people be them. If you don't like the game, if you don't like the aesthetics of the game, then just move along. But if you're supposed to be a critique, your number one focus should be about the gameplay, because that's what primarily you should be focusing on, gameplay, and that's it. But yeah, I personally don't get it. I like what I see. The game looks great. Hopefully I have a great experience when I play the demo. And yeah, that's pretty much it for now. That's my take on it. How about you, Wolf?
I didn't know about the game. So to me, the game was non-existent up until a couple weeks ago when I heard you guys talking about it before. I I don't expect anything different from what, especially an action. Um, what was it called? What is it called? What did Kong refer to it as?
Oh, hack and slash?
Hack and slash. Especially what a hack and slash title is. I mean, I said this in another podcast before, like main characters who are active in swinging around fancy weapons and um, using agility and speed and strength and all that other stuff. They're not going to be the most appealing, the most unappealing type of person. They're gonna be some kind of physique that's necessary and justifiable to what they can do. As far as I guess her face being appealing. In the end of the day, people can complain that why don't they get more of this? Why don't they get more of that? But they consistently buy into what they're complaining about. So why should we change it? If Stellar Blade is going to make a lot of money, if it's going to be if the consumer base is going to eat it up, why should they make her less attractive? For example. So honestly, I feel like it's a lot of nitpicking because they want to find something negative to complain about. Because in this day and age, it's way easier to complain than it is to praise. And to be honest, while Bayonetta, in the comparison to Bayonetta, I don't think for me, Bayonetta doesn't stand out that much. Her games was good, yes. I did like using her in Smash Brothers, but not because of her beauties, because she was a combo type character. Other than that, she doesn't really like to me. She kind of fits into exactly what they're complaining about. She's stripped to do her super moves.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
she was very flirtatious. She was vulgar. She was, I don't know if that's what today's day and age of what you call female empowerment. That's something, because to me, Bayonetta wasn't exactly a prime example of what I would want out of a female, other than her looks. But but I don't really care what the character looks like. It's as long as the game functions, it's a game. In the end of the day, from day one, good-looking characters has been able to push games, have been able to make them stand out when they're on a cover. Um, it's a formula that's not broken. So it's a formula that no matter how these companies think about it or go about it or try to please the very few, minority that's out there that's complaining about wanting less attractive characters. In the end of the day, if the game makes money, then for them, they're going to do exactly that. They're going to continue to push out attractive characters. And I think that's fair. I absolutely think that's fair, because in the end of the day, when I played Devil May Cry the first time, honestly, Dante, I am not of that community, but, but Dante is a good looking male. He is. He's fit, he's tall, he's brass, he's confident. He's what you would want, as
Tell
any
us how you really
man
feel, man.
would want to be Dante.
Oh, okay. You fixed that up real quick.
Any man would want to be right. Any man would want to be Dante. Like, to be honest, any man would want to. I mean, he's swinging around swords, he's dancing around demons, and he's getting all the chicks.
Yeah.
So it's like these characters are designed to be this way. It's a formula. It works. It's proven to work. It's going to continue to prove to work. Get over yourselves. And yes, I understand a critic's job is to judge the content that they are um, analyzing with some form of negativity, or to have some form of unfavorable opinion about it. And you are entitled to your own opinions. However, I think there's a lot more that could be wrong with the game instead of just what the character looks like. Much like Esoteric said, let's try to focus on, was the game responsive? Was the game glitchy? Was the game um, did the characters make sense in the world that they were in? Like, there's so much more things that goes into a video game than just what the character looks like for this to be such a big topic at
Yep.
this point
So
in
funny.
video game history.
So funny you mentioned Bayonetta and how she was just like she was an okay character. She was objectively attractive. Like you can acknowledge that, but that's not what you played
Mhm,
her for. You played it because the
mhm,
game was entertaining and she
mhm.
fit your boxes in terms of a fighter in Smash Bros.
Yes.
Um, in the article that we're gonna have linked, they mentioned Bayonetta. They
Mhm.
they mentioned Bayonetta as having an iconic design, and 2B as being, funny enough, 2B as being the birth of cosplayers or an inspiration for cosplayers. Meanwhile, if we go
That's a
back
load
in
of
time,
bullshit.
right, yeah, if we go back in time, we can see the same articles about 2B and about
Yep.
Bayonetta. Where it's,
Yep.
oh, why is her ass so big? Why does she have to be in a skirt? Why is she dressed like a maid? That's feeding into male power fantasies. Why does Bayonetta have to use her hair as clothing? Why does she get naked when she summons? Like it was the same arguments they're making about Eve. It was just back then. It was just back when Bayonetta came out and back when Nier Automata came out. It was the same arguments. But now it's like, oh, now they're okay because pretty much the majority of gamers and the sales that these games made have basically shut down the arguments. These games are popular. Bayonetta has 3 entries. Nier Automata has become the new Cloud Strife for, 2B has become the new Cloud Strife for Square Enix. That chick is in everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
clearly they've done well. So you can't bash them because they didn't fail like these people wanted them to. They succeeded. So it's just the giant hypocrisy of, oh, they're cool now, but don't look at us and don't look at our articles from a couple years ago when we were saying, oh, these are just the same arguments they're making now. These are just sex dolls for horny men who don't know what a woman looks like and have never left their mom's basement, or same tired arguments they use when they want to denigrate people who just want to see an attractive woman. And it's not even, I don't know, for me anyway, it's not even about she has to be attractive, which you also alluded to, which I think we all kind of alluded to. Like that isn't the criteria for me to personally buy a game. Does it help? Sure. And I think
Yeah.
too many modern games, in recent years, in the late 2020s, they've kind of steered towards one particular kind of female and a particular kind of male, if I want to be, equal opportunity here. But it's just, I'm like, people are tired of it, right? I want to play a fantasy game. I want to live in a fantasy. If I wanted to play the real world, I'd walk outside. Like, come on now. So I don't know. It's just very hypocritical. The arguments that they used are the same arguments that they used for Bayonetta and 2B, but now they're cool because they succeeded and didn't fail like they wanted.
Yeah, that's because the problem with this whole like social media and everyone having a platform is that they want to live in the now with their words, but they want to play like they have amnesia for years ago when they had the same argument for other things that shared similar like circumstances. My thing is just this, right? Like again, to want people who create games to have things look a certain way or be a certain way, you're stifling their creativity. Let them envision the game and reflect it on paper, I would say, or on the screen, the way that they envision it. That is it. Like, if the character's ugly, fine. If the character is cute, fine. You know what I'm saying? I just don't understand why people are so fixated on forcing people to have a certain aesthetic for their games. You know, if you're concerned about Bayonetta stripping when she does moves, that's why there's an ESRB rating. That's why there's like, if you're concerned about kids seeing that, then kids should not be playing this game. Like we have things in place for these certain circumstances to, if that is your concern. But clearly it's not, because all they want to do is just say, oh, girl is cute. She has a shape. it's a problem for like all those gamers, male gamers who don't get any. Like, does that really matter? Does it really? I
I don't
mean,
understand what the whole sexual thing is about because, to be honest, if I had a daughter and she was next to me playing and I'm playing a video game, I would never play Bayonetta in front of her. Never. I would rather play from the demo that I saw and the videos that I saw, I'd rather play Stellar Blade than Bayonetta.
That's
Um,
a good point, man.
it's like first and foremost, the woman again, I'm going back to it. Her clothing is made out of magic and hair. She chooses to strip and pass off sexual poses for her special attacks. It's to me, it's just like where's what part of her is iconic in a sense? Can someone justify that?
the
I
fact that
can't justify that.
my guess is the fact that her clothes get stripped down and her clothing is made of hair. That's the only thing I can see because she has been created before. Like, I've played Dead or Alive. I've played, other games where there's like shapely women, like Zero Suit Samus in Smash. Like, I don't like Chung Li in Street Fighter. I don't understand what is the big deal. I don't get it. I just it just doesn't make any sense to me. And they're focusing on something. They're focusing on a criteria that honestly should be the last thing you should be focusing on when it comes to games. It should be
So,
gameplay, maybe the aesthetics, and then maybe the story. Like, I don't know, whatever.
like I said in another podcast, again, these are characters that's designed to pull people in. And in the end of the day, beauty attracts. If a beautiful woman sits in a public place, people are gonna pass and stare a little bit longer. If a handsome man sits in public, people are gonna stare at him a little bit longer. Beauty naturally tracks. So in the end of the day, um, I don't know if it's coming from a place of maybe these people who are complaining about her looks feel like they can never reach there, or they have some sense of insecurity problems. I don't know what to tell you. Find a rock, dig a hole, and live under it, because in the end of the day, that's the way that it works. Like celebrities, models, people in the limelight. What's on TikTok mostly now? What's on Instagram mostly now? What's on Facebook mostly now, right? Is these women with these outrageous body parts shaking it around because in the end of the day, to the majority community, whether it is a female, whether it's male, that is attractive because the female is looking at her like, damn, she looks good. I wish I had a booty like hers. And the dude is looking at her like, damn, she looks good. I wish I had a booty that I can touch like hers. In the end of the day, beauty sells. So if you can't wrap your head around how marketing works, then yeah, you should find a rock or an ocean and go live under it and just leave people alone. Just leave people alone to do things in their own creative sense. First and foremost, Stellar Blade is not even a Western game.
Correct.
So the other side of the planet has a completely different culture than what we're trying to force is the new expectation and norm. That side of the earth culture it's very specific. It's unchanged in some ways. I'm not saying there aren't other people out there on that side that doesn't believe in Western beliefs, but for the most part, that side of the world feels like a woman should look like this and a man should look like this, and people who are beautiful would have this type of shape or this type of height or this type of skin tone or this type of hair. It's their culture. It's what you can't expect anything else. You either accept it or you change your media of entertainment. Go read a book. Here's that. Go read a book. If you read a book and it's not a picture book, then you can imagine what these characters look like. And then you
Well,
can
to
imagine them to be 300 pounds with purple hair.
Well,
You
to
can imagine them that.
well, to an extent, Wolf, because if the author is very descriptive of what their character looks like, they will put that in the book. So if they say that they're thick and curvy, you can't imagine them being a fat ass. So it's
Well,
like,
that,
are you
but
gonna complain about the
but that's
author?
but if the author describes the main character as thick and curvy, just think of a, I don't know, like a bag of lard and sitting on a table. It's thick
it's,
and it's
it's
round, which
curvy.
is
Yeah.
curvy. So just be like you basically what I'm saying is that there's no, when you're reading a book or when you're imagining the characters yourself, that the spectrum is wide, right? It's wide. But when you come into another person's imagination, when you step into their imagination, you are limiting yourself to what they want their world to be. So if this is his or theirs or whatever they classify themselves as, imagination in the world they want it to be in, then you have to accept it. If this is their culture on how they pass on media, you have to accept it. In the end of the day, that's just the way that I feel works. It works that way. Like we watched Baby Steps, right? The we watched it. They could have made a skinny dude and he tall and attractive and walking around the world silly and all that. No, they gave you a middle-aged man with a with weight on his body in a giant dirty onesie, sounds silly as hell, and Esoteric, you was like, I kind of want to play this game. You never took, you never said, okay, well, this guy is fat, or this guy is fat. I don't want to play as him. And then you judge the whole game on it. So instead, you was like, okay, this game looks silly. It sounds funny. I want to play this game. Like, what is the point of this man walking around the world, falling on his face occasionally because he's trying to relearn how to walk, right? It's the same. Let's reverse it now. What is the point of me complaining about her big boobs and curvaceous hips if the gameplay is solid, if the storyline is good, if the the mechanics are there, if the game isn't crashing, if it's not a live service game, so you don't lose your game at any time that developers wishes to stop supporting it. It's what's the sense? Like there's so much more to the there's so many more layers to the cake. Why are you bitching about that one layer in the middle or the top
Yeah,
or the bottom, wherever you want to put it?
I mean,
yeah,
let's talk about like it might be a dead horse type of thing, but like the whole vitriol coming from IGN and Kotaku and people of their ilk, like the fact that you go this game apparently offends you so much that you feel the need to subtly, as subtly as they can manage anyway, make a personal attack on the director of the game, to literally insult him without saying his name, accusing him of basically being like this creepy loser who doesn't know what a woman looks like. When as a journalist, one would think you would do the bare minimum and do some research on the creator of the game, and you'd probably find out pretty quickly that this man is married, has been married for a while. So obviously he knows what a woman looks like. But
I'm sorry to cut you off,
no, go ahead.
but to add to that, he has his wife working on the game, so she also approves of the artistic approach that her husband is taking with the game.
One would think if
Her as
she's
a
being
woman,
objectified, she'd, pull him
she could.
aside and
Even if she doesn't approve of it, she's in support of it because this is his vision. This is his vision of what he wants this game to be. So even if she approves or doesn't approve, in the end of the day, her working on it is showing her support to it. That says a lot. that speaks volumes in terms of what the 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 effort that's being put in between a couple, a woman and a man, in a relationship, um, is putting in to get his image across for others to enjoy. That's it. I'm done. It's just shit is just stupid and pissing me off. Start saying some mean shit. Anyways, I'm done.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify some things in terms of like aesthetics in video games and whatnot. You know, um, are they as important as gameplay? No, but they are to some degree a factor, right? And I was just thinking about it in a sense, like when I play fighting games, the first thing I'm looking at is how cool the character looks, simply because that's my first like introduction to the character. I mean, nowadays we have like trailers showcasing what they can do and whatnot, so you have a better understanding of would this character fit your play style or whatnot. But back in the days, all you got was how the character looks. You were clicking on each character, looking at, you know, their overall aesthetic, and you're like, okay, this character looks cool. Let me try them. So, you know, to some degree, aesthetics does play a part. However, I am not going to exclude playing a game solely based upon its looks. I'm going to give it a chance and overlook the I would say the aesthetical like difficulties of the game. Like for example, I think Fable is an ugly game. I don't like the aesthetics. It doesn't look that great to me. It doesn't look appealing at all. But Fable was a great game. Like Fable was fun to play. You know, it wasn't the type of aesthetic that I would typically go for in games, but it was good. And it was a fun game to play. So, you know, I feel like if all these people who are judging Stellar Blade before they even played the demo, because let's be honest, I'm pretty sure they didn't even attempt the demo. Or, you know, once the game launches and they take the time to purchase it and play it, I'm pretty sure that if the game is as good as it looks, then they should be able to overlook whatever aesthetics that they're having, that they're disgruntled about. But who knows, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just like, but again, on the flip side, I don't like this whole thing of I want to buy the game to own the libs. Like, I think that's also something that's not really talked about because currently, if you kind of relegate your opinions to the internet, it seems like, oh, this game is number one. It has to be supported because, you know, IGN, the left, this pisses them off. And I hate that gaming, a hobby that I care about, has now become the same battleground that we have, you know, outside of video games. It's now in video games, and it's just like, look, just buy the game because it's a competent game. Like I said, the demo's out. If you have a PlayStation 5, you want to try it out, it's free. It carries over. That should be your deciding factor whether, I'm going to wait for a sale. I'm going to buy it right now. I'm going to pre-order the deluxe edition. Or, this game isn't for me. I don't like it at all. That should be the deciding factor.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, but it's just like, I don't know. And it's like,
If
that's what I
you
hate.
if you are buying the game under the sole purpose of wanting to piss off or to irritate those who are opposing the game, because of the character looks, you are you are just as bad,
Exactly.
or you are no better than the people who are complaining about not wanting to buy the game because of the way she looks. What are you doing? Like, you're just throwing away your money because you're realistically never going to play the game. You'll probably pick it up, you'll probably load it for a few hours. But if it's a game that you are truly not interested in, and you're buying it just to prove a point, then you too need you also need to find a counselor and sit down with them, because it's like you don't you can buy 0 copies of the game, you can buy 10 copies of the game. You're not realistically affecting those who are against the game. You're really not. In the end of the day, people, we live true to our opinions. And what I mean by that is once we once we judge something, whether it's negatively, positively, whatever, it's we stick by it and we make it ours. We own our opinions as people, as human beings. It's why you don't talk about religion and politics, right? Because those are opinions. And those are topics that's so sensitive to our opinions, it causes heated arguments. It can become from debates into an actual argument, sometimes physical. Um, so it's the same thing with this. You don't like it doesn't make no sense in trying to prove a point for something that you don't really have any care in. You don't If you don't care about actually learning the game and playing the game and supporting the developers, then keep your money in your pocket and put it towards something else. Like be a sensible person. Just be sensible. Both sides.
Yeah, that's a really good point you touched on, Wolf, because one of the biggest things about the gaming community is that a lot of people within it are susceptible to the herd mentality. So whichever faction is like for or opposing something, there's a lot of people who will gravitate towards whatever specific end um, that they feel is, I can't even think of the word, but let's just go with cooler. Um, so that's a really good point in letting people, in terms of like their individuality, let them express that and focus on that, and not have to think about, oh, I'm doing this because this person is doing it or that person is doing it. No, do it because you genuinely enjoy it. So that's a really good point.
Yeah, I just wanted to pop in and just say real quick. I don't think. I think there's a portion, a small portion of these people who believe this stuff that they write. But I firmly believe that majority of these people don't actually care, and they're just producing content that will create controversy in order to get clicks and to get attention.
That's also a very good point.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
believe, because there's nothing
Mm-hmm.
reasonable about thinking this way. It's just I've met very few people that are this fucking brain dead. I don't believe that this is like a normal thing. There's
You'd be surprised,
well, maybe, but I don't.
especially in the gaming community. You'll be really surprised at how susceptible to the stupidity
I'm not
they
doubting
are,
that
and
people
like,
are susceptible to adopting other people's opinions that are brain dead. That for sure is a thing, because people are just naturally tribalistic, and like you said, herd mentality does exist. That's true. And for a long time, I think when I was younger, I was susceptible to that kind of thing too. Um, Now that I'm older and I kind of am more comfortable with who I am and the way I think and what I like and what I don't like,
Yeah.
I have a barrier to this crap. I'm like, I don't believe this, right? And even with you guys, like when I disagree with one of you guys, like I'll joust with you on the topic, because it's like, well, okay, explain that to me. I don't quite understand your position, or I don't agree with that. I think it's this way, right? And so,
yeah,
I'm not just quickly, like, it's not an echo chamber here. Maybe in times it is, but like that's because things that are like echo chambery, not that that's a word, but you know what I mean. It's because it's like rooted in logic, and it's like, yeah, we're all logical here, so okay, yeah, this makes sense. Yeah, we agree here. Like we all agree this person who wrote this is a moron. Like you're just in your feelings, and maybe you're just doing it for controversy. But we'll just buy it off face value that they're hurt that the character is sexualized. And like Wolf said, Bayonetta is way more sexualized than Eve from Stellar Blade. Are you kidding me? Like, how is that even a comparison? Like, do you have eyes? Do you know about the games that you're talking about? Because what? That's like saying Kratos is not very violent, but Dante is super violent. It's like, mother, what are you? They're both decapitating living beings. What do you? Shut up! Like, just you don't belong here. These aren't people. These aren't gamers. These are just people with a social that like social media and like the social aspect of being a writer, and so that this was their route into fame, into semi-fame online, and so they're writers at IGN. These people aren't gamers. Like, they're not real fans. They're not real gamers. They're fucking posers. And so their job is to fucking stir the pot and like get everybody in a fucking frenzy because nobody reads articles anymore like that. So they need some sort of traction because the YouTuber space is dominating them right now and it will continue to dominate them because it's an easier medium to consume. So that's it. Like, I just wanted to point that out because it's all crap. Like, this was just a topic because whatever, it's out there and we didn't have much else to talk about this week, so we were like, fuck it, we'll just talk about the Stellar Blade shit and the inflammatory attacks on the developer. But I don't buy this shit. Like, I don't buy that the person at IGN France really meant this. Like, he's like, there's no way you mean this. Like, either that or you're that moronic that you haven't even thought about it, because this, just to say Bayonetta is not nearly as sexualized as Eve from Stellar Blade. I'm like, you haven't even played the full game yet. I doubt. Even if you have access to it, I doubt you played the full thing. How could you say that? You probably didn't even play Bayonetta. Like, get out of here, bro. Like, just sit down and shut up. Take away all the fucking social media access. Take away the fucking office in IGN France. Like, this person doesn't deserve to be doing this. Like, get him out of here, bro. But, that's just my take.
Yeah, no, I get it. A lot of this is brought up to for clicks on dying websites because IGN used to be way back when we didn't have YouTube or YouTube was young. They used to be the quote unquote authority when it came to video games and video game news. Like, if you wanted to know something, you went through IGN, and they got all this access and insider info and interviews with developers and stuff. And now that's waning because, like, we can, if I'm a developer and I want to speak to the people, I could just go to the people, right? Twitter is a thing. YouTube's a thing. So I
think that at this time and age, content creators have more pull
Oh,
than journalists themselves.
100%, like 200%, like, because if you want to talk to your community, for the most part, there are exceptions, right? YouTubers are the community. These are the people who are going to be buying your games and they're going to be playing it. And so IGN and Kotaku and people of their ilk, they're dinosaurs, right? They're relics of the past. They're like E3. Like, they're not needed anymore. So they're trying to hang on to relevance by doing these inflammatory articles. And Kong brought a good perspective where you kind of like get lost in the weeds about it, right?
Yeah.
Play the demo. My personal stance on faith in a video game has always been, if they release a demo, if any developer releases a demo, in my opinion, they have faith in their product because they are allowing people to play a segment of their product free of charge before the game comes out. And, people can decide right there and then, this game is trash, this game is mid, or this game's the greatest thing on earth. So the fact that Stellar Blade released a demo gave me more faith in the game because it's like, all right, you have confidence in your product, right? You're proud of what you produced. Let me try it and see what the hype's about. See if it's worth a damn. So I respect them a lot for that. But yeah, it's really easy to get lost in the sauce when it comes to like the hate bait and the rage articles because I do feel some of these people legitimately think this way. Not all. Some are doing it for clicks. But I do feel some people legitimately feel that this is an affront to all things good in the world. And, they really think people are turning on the game and jerking off immediately. I fully believe people think that. But,
Immediately. They're
that-
taking their time.
Hey, I feel they think that when a guy turns on a game with an attractive character, our animal brain takes over and we're just like unga bunga. I can't. It doesn't work like that. But these people are disingenuous people in their daily lives. They just unfortunately have infiltrated the gaming space and have a modicum of power in the fact that they can make their voice louder than everybody else's because they're part of a legacy video game media company, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Mm.
Good points.
Well, I think we've said everything that needs to be said. Unless anybody has any closing thoughts, opinions, I think
I was just gonna say one more thing, and then you could close this out, Gunner. But
Gotcha.
yeah, so like on the point of like, does the creepy like loser gamer stereotype exist? Yes, like that guy is out there. Do they represent all of us? Absolutely not. And I hate that that's being like taken in as the norm. Like, Wolf mentioned the game Baby Steps that we were kind of making fun of before recording. Like, that game is a blatant attack on the gamer stereotype. Like, it's not. It's perpetuating the stereotype, and the stereotype exists for a reason. There are guys out there who are living at home, no prospects, just whatever, right? That he exists. That's not to say that that's not the case, but to just kind of put that label on just everybody that doesn't agree with you is just really frustrating to see. Which is why I don't have Twitter /X. I don't use it. I don't look at it really. I try not to engage in the social media because it's a lot of slop. It's a lot of bullshit. The people who post stuff, they're not posting real, like they're posting the highlights of their life, not necessarily what's actually going on in their life. It's all crap. It's all fugazi. So I don't buy into it. If you look at my Instagram, it's like, sure, I have a few females that I follow, whatever, that like, yeah, she's attractive. Okay, I'll follow her because I do have monkey brain still at the end of the day. But most of it's like collectibles, comics, video game stuff, like wrestling stuff. Like, it's just stuff that I like. I can control what the feed looks like, generally speaking. That's a social media platform I could use if I just need if I need to fill the time or whatever. But it's just frustrating to see, and then you get articles like this, and like, I'm sure there are people who, if you scroll through the comments, they're like, yeah, but they are sexualizing women, and we gotta fight the problems. Like, the people who say that and take that stance don't even care about the medium. They don't care about video games. They don't care even about representation of women in any media. Like, I don't believe they actually care. It's just a fucking virtual signal. Optics. It's just, I want to just look good. I want to be a part of the conversation. It's a fucking social experiment for them. It's not about the real issue, because there is no fucking issue. It's all fucking made up. It's all fake. There is no real issue. This wasn't an issue 20 years ago, 10 years ago, I don't even think. And it's only an issue today because it could be monetized and whatever. It's all crap. So, for those who are interested in the game, you're listening to this, video, podcast, whatever, just download the demo if you have a PS5, try it out, and if you like the game, go buy the game, And I know I'm probably going to get flack for pre-ordering, because I know there's like anti-pre-order culture. Like, you pre-order the game, you're part of the problem. Sure, whatever. I pre-ordered it because I don't want to have, because I buy physical games, and I'm not trying to wait till 2 days after the game comes out to get it from Amazon. And I'm not trying to go to a game store and be like, oh, we're sold out or whatever. I'm not trying to hear that. So I pre-ordered the game. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Sue me.
Wait, you're part of the problem of what?
Because there's
Stellar Blade controversy?
Because there's I'm only talking about it because I know somebody's probably going to think that. Like, people are against the idea and the practice of pre-ordering because it incentivizes companies to look at that metric and possibly put out crap faster, because if the pre-orders look good, then let's push the product out quicker. And so there's like a culture of like anti-pre-order, which I'm not totally against, but like, I get it.
Yeah, I mean,
but whatever. It's my money. I'm
if-
gonna
if
pre-order
I-
if I want to get the game.
If I want something, and there's a scarcity involved, I'm going
I mean,
to secure it. That's it.
There
Whatever.
is one thing to say about when you pre-order a game that comes out 5 years from now, and all you've seen was like a cinematic trailer. Those guys are like, maybe you're jumping the gun a little
I
bit
agree
too
with that.
much.
There's a line, right? I
Yeah.
didn't pre-order it.
Like the guys who
2 years
pre-ordered
ago. I pre-ordered
Anthem.
it like a few days ago because it's coming out later this month.
Right, because there's more concrete evidence. So I get that, but yeah, whatever. It's much like, okay, tying it back to the topic, much like it, if you think she's misogynistic and masturbatory bait, don't buy the game. If you think she looks good, buy the game. Just Sony isn't
That's
coming
it.
and taking money
It's
out of
that
your
simple.
pocket. Like
And if
just buy the
and
game.
if you're
don't
the
buy
guy
the
who's
game.
gonna be like fucking beating it to the fucking game, okay, weirdo, do you, bro? Like, I'm sure the developer doesn't actually care as long as you paid for the game. It's like, oh, fuck it, you bought it, it's yours, I guess. And that's fine. You're not hurting anybody. I don't care. I just don't like that label is kind of placed and bestowed upon everybody
Yeah.
who engages in the hobby. That shit is really annoying. But it is what it is. It's just a thing we have to live with, unfortunately, and learn to just exist and coexist with. That's all. So anyway, Gunnar, I'll let you close it out. 'Cause that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, most definitely. Like I said, Twitter is free. That's why these people use it. They don't have $70 to buy the game anyway. Twitter's free. That's why they do what they do. Anyway, on that note, that's it for tonight. That's our topic about the Stellar Blade hashtag controversy. Let us know what you think. If you made it this far, thank you very much. Thank you for your listen. Thank you for your watch. We always appreciate anybody that listens and anybody that comments. Even if you don't comment, we appreciate you too. But if you have anything to say, let us know. Leave a comment. We always look at our comments. We always read and respond to our comments. And we'd like to know what you guys think. Do you think we're wrong? Do you think we're right? Do you think we're idiots? Let us know. Anyway, so just some little plugs we got to make. Mr. Esoteric, member of our panel this evening, he is an avid streamer, streams on Twitch. He's a variety streamer. He streams a little of everything. He's kind of in his boomer phase right now. So if you kind of like those games, he's currently playing Darksiders. That's a throwback. So hey, look, if you're interested in that, that's your jam. Come on in. He streams usually Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. The schedule is kind of up to interpretation. You might get some extra streams. So, make sure you follow. Make sure hey, if you want to sub, do that too. But make sure you follow so you can know when when he's on. He streams a variety of stuff. So he's on that AAA grind. He's on that boomer grind. Does a little bit of everything. We have socials. We've got a Discord. We're trying to build that up. Trying to get a community going on that. Got some cool topics. Got some cool stuff going on there. So make sure you subscribe. If Discord's a thing you use. Speaking of social medias, if you're kind of like us, we don't really use it a whole lot. But if you do, we have a presence there as well. The main ones: Twitter, X, whatever you call it, Facebook, TikTok. We're on them all. We post content there. So whatever strikes your fancy, give us a follow on that. So, with all the YouTuber stuff out the way, once again, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for commenting if you decide. If you like what you like, make sure you sub. And we hope to deliver you more engaging conversation with a bunch of old guys talking about video games. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Once again, thank you for watching. It means the most. You guys have a pleasant evening. Till next time.
Take